Let's pause for a minute to talk about Anchor by Spotify. Anchor is an easy-to-use, one-stop shop to create and host your podcast. When we started making Sleeping with the Numbers, we used other hosts first that forced us to manually upload to Apple Music, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. But with Anchor, you simply upload to a single spot, and it distributes it automatically to all of these locations. But that isn't all. With Anchor, you can easily record, edit, and even add music directly from Spotify to your podcast to make it sound even better. So if you've been waiting around to create a podcast, wait no longer, because Anchor by Spotify makes it extremely easy to do. Anchor is completely free and can be used by downloading the mobile app on iOS or Android, or even right from their website, anchor.fm. Make an account today and get podcasting.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster.
All right, hey everyone, welcome into another episode of the Sleeping with the Numbers podcast. Just Dylan here again, and we are here for week 17. Only 2 more weeks before playoffs. And, there's still a little bit of fighting going on in both conferences. For the AFC, all but 2 spots are locked up, and there's actually 6. I count that right, 7. All right, we'll give them a technicality there. Mathematically, there's 7 teams still competing for these 2 spots. Those teams are the Jaguars, the Dolphins, the Patriots, the Jets, basically that whole division other than, Miami's included in that. Basically that whole division. The Steelers have a 1% chance to get into playoffs because that's a thing. Titans still fighting to get in, and the Raiders technically still have a less than 1% chance of getting into the playoffs, but come on. You know that's not happening. So it's the same with the Steelers. So I'm not being petty. It's just how it is. For the NFC, 3 spots are actually available. Those teams competing for those spots. The Bucks, again, that whole division is somehow competitive with each other. No one else, only each other. The Giants, Commanders, Seattle, Lions, Packers, Panthers, and the Saints still in it. Again, that division just trying to make their way in. So let's get into these picks. Got no buys yet again. No buys for the rest of the year. Except playoffs if you count those. So we're going to be kicking it off here, and we will start with the Arizona-Atlanta game. 2 birds matching up, a Cardinal versus a Falcon. Falcon probably wins that in real life. I don't think a Cardinal can really do much against a much larger and fiercer bird. But, it's football. It's football. We're not playing that game here. So Colt McCoy sounded like he was going to be back and playing as the Cardinals starting quarterback. He experienced some more concussion symptoms, so he is out. According to Pro Football Focus, it is David Blau, if you remember him from Detroit. Yeah, he's going to be getting the nod here to start against Devin Ritter, which we don't have to play this game, do we? I mean, it's technically not important at all. Falcons are out. Cardinals are out. This game doesn't really impact anything other than draft. So these teams probably want to lose in order to get a better draft pick. But either way, it's a matchup. Here, the Falcons are at home. They are favored by 6 points. Minus 254 on the money line. Over under of 41 points. And right before I started recording, I got a notification. Hopkins is out with a knee injury. Late add to the injury report there. I don't necessarily know what that means. I don't know if it's like a wink-wink situation. He just doesn't feel like playing, or if something major actually happened. So maybe I should look in on that real quick and see if we have an update on Hopkins. As that, I mean, it's going to be screwing with people for their fantasy playoffs week. You already had Pollard not play. You had Derrick Henry not play. Hopkins is now out. This is absolutely wild. So looking here, source. Give me a source for DeAndre Hopkins. Pro Football Talk out with a knee injury. So, yeah, it could very well be he just does not want to play. Wilson is questionable. Didn't practice at all. Possible he's played his last game as a Cardinal. Wow. Yeah, he's expensive. All right. Anyways, it's a gross game. I am absolutely not touching this one. Just for my picks here, I'll go with the home team. They somehow have more weapons than the Cardinals, especially without Hopkins. So I'll take Falcons to win, but I'll take Arizona to cover here. Over under 41. There's some value on taking the over. Defenses have not been good, but I mean, their offenses, what are they going to do? It's low enough. I'll take the over 41 points. Visual matchup here, Chicago versus Detroit. Chicago is already eliminated from playoffs. Lions have a chance here. This game is very important. If they win, it keeps them alive at least. Gives them a 3% boost into making into the playoffs. If they lose this game, they are essentially out. So important game for Detroit. Expect them to play hard here. Chicago, really just playing to see what Justin Fields has for the future. So Detroit, home favorites here, 6 points as well. Minus 263 on the money line, plus 214 for the Bears. Highest over-under of the week of 52.5 points, even higher than the Buffalo-Cincinnati game. I think I got to go with the home team here. I know they've kind of been on a bit of a downturn, but it's also the Bears. And a bit of a downturn is just a horrible loss to Carolina where they looked really bad, where they had 3 solid wins before that, beating the Jets, Minnesota, and the Jaguars. So they come back here. I'm taking them to win and cover. Chicago just really can't move the ball, and they can't stop the ball from being moved on them. Over under way too high for teams like this. I know I can't say surprised, but when Detroit plays, they're letting by a lot of points, but I don't think Chicago has enough going for them to keep scoring here. So I will take the under 52.5 points. Denver, Kansas City, divisional matchup. Denver cannot make the playoffs. Shocker. Kansas City, do they have a lot to play for here? Let's take a look and find out. If they win, so they can clinch home field advantage for the first round. Well, they already have it, but they can clinch spot number 2, which doesn't really matter. Not really. If they beat the Broncos and the Bengals lose to the Bills. So pretty good chance of that happening. I don't think they're going to have to play their asses off to beat the Broncos. Broncos suck. Russ sucks. They fired their head coach. I don't think that's going to change a single thing. I'm taking Kansas City to win and cover here. They have a 12.5 point spread here at home. Over under of 45 points. Give me that under. Denver cannot score. Their defense is also really good. And I don't think the Kansas City Chiefs defense is going to have to try too hard to stop this offense. They can win this by 2 scores and be happy with it. So that's what I'm going with. Kansas City will win, cover, and I will go with the under. Divisional matchup here, Miami and the Patriots. Very important game here. Basically fighting for a wild card spot since they can't get their division. Let's see if there's any clinching possibilities here for either team. The Dolphins can clinch playoffs if they win and Jets lose. That is the clinching options here for the Dolphins. For the Patriots, they cannot clinch, but they can get eliminated with a loss to the Dolphins here. Tua is going to be out for this game. It's going to be Teddy Bridgewater traveling up to Gillette Stadium in Foxborough. That's a rough time. Patriots are currently favored here at 2.5 points, minus 143 on the money line, plus 120 for Miami. Over under of just 41 points. I don't think Bridgewater is a massive downgrade from Tua. If you've listened to the show, I'm not the biggest Tua believer. That was probably shown a bit more last year when we were talking about him. He's looked good enough this year, but I don't think it's not because of him. It's because he has insane weapons in Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. So Waddle was a little banged up last time. It doesn't look like he's on the injury report here. So there's a good chance that the Dolphins can get it done in Foxborough, even without Tua. Those concussions are a scary thing for him. I've seen questions of if he should come back at all this season. And take care of your health. That's really the most important thing here. But Bill Belichick at home, that is a difficult task for anyone. This is probably one I'm going to pay a lot of attention to, but likely not bet, because I do believe it's very close to even here. For my picks, I do have to take the home team with New England to win and cover, and I will take the over 41 points. Remember, Miami still has very good weapons. They can take any of those balls to the house anytime they feel like it, and that is all they need to put up some scores here. Not crazy weather there in Foxborough just yet, so I think it'll be okay weather-wise. Colts Giants trying to stay alive here and maybe make it to the playoffs. And I say maybe because there's a 6% chance that they don't make it. They are pretty locked in here. They have 12 ways to clinch playoffs this week. I'm going to read off those real quick. Clinch spot number 6, they just have to win. They just got to beat the Colts. Easy task, right? Case number 2, Browns win, Bears win, Vikings win, Jets win. That's harder to get than just beating the Colts. Just beat the Colts, Giants, and you'll get it. They can also clinch if Browns win, Jets win. They can clinch. This is for spot 7. Browns win, Bears win, Vikings win, Bears win, Vikings win, Jets win. So a lot of options here for New York. The easiest one, just getting a W here, which I believe they do. So I'm taking the Giants to win. I'll take them to cover. 5.5 point spread here at home. Minus 238 on the money line, plus 195 for the Colts. Very, very low over under of just 39 points. You know I have to take that over. Nick Foles is going to be starting again because I don't have a good reason for that. I don't think anyone does. He's not the same player he was in Philadelphia. Probably due to some coaching and weapons. But Foles is getting the start. They just want a better draft pick. That's really what it comes down to. Giants, I think they can get the job done here at home. Just give the ball to Saquon. That is literally all you have to do. I understand your receivers have looked okay. Don't play that game. Just give the ball to Saquon. Let him do his thing. New Orleans, Philadelphia. Looking like Gardner's going to get the start here again. Going to save Hurts for playoffs. Get him completely healthy in pretty much a meaningless game. The Eagles have all but clinched up the first round bye. 98% chance they get that. They can clinch if they beat the Saints. Well, that's it. I'm not going to count the ties. They can also tie the Saints and have the Packers win or tie the Vikings. We're not going to talk about ties here. So Eagles beat the Saints. They get that first round bye, clinched in. I think they can do it. It's New Orleans has not looked great. It's Andy Dalton. Not a lot of worry there from me. So I will be taking New Orleans. Whoa. Wow. I really confused myself there. I started to say I'm going to take New Orleans. I'm absolutely not doing that. Philly to win, Philly to cover. Give me the under 41.5 points. I understand that is a low line. I just don't see New Orleans being able to score that much. And kind of Philadelphia. Man, they did put up 34 on Dallas's defense. Either way, it's going to take 2 to get over that line. And I don't think the Saints are going to be putting up that many points. Give me the Eagles win cover and the under. Divisional matchup, super important game between Tampa and Carolina Panthers. Can the Panthers clinch? No, but they can get eliminated. They can get eliminated with a loss to the Buccaneers. I'm assuming that means if the Buccaneers win, they clinch their division and win the playoffs. So, important game for both teams here. To stay alive, Panthers need to win. Darnold has not looked terrible. Brady has kind of looked terrible. But somehow it's Tom Brady. He pulls it out. He always does. I don't know what's going to happen here. A lot of really good games here in week 17, which is fun for fantasy because it's going to be competitive. Like I said, a lot of these injuries and things might be screwing people here. So I will take Tampa Bay to win here at home. When the game's on the line, Tom Brady gets it done, even though it may look disgusting the whole way through. He's been doing it forever. He wants to play football. He has nothing else going for him. So that's what he's doing here. He's going to get the win. Carolina to cover. I think, like I said, I don't know what happened. So when I don't know what's going to happen, I take favored to win, and I'll take the underdog to cover. Over under 40.5 points. They should hit that over. I think both teams will be able to score enough here to hit over 40.5 points. Cleveland, Washington, Carson Wentz getting the start here. And anytime Wentz is playing, I am betting against him. It works out so well. And they're 2-point home favorites somehow, -128 on the money line, +108 for the Browns. Over under of just 40.5 points. I'm taking Cleveland to win and cover. I don't want to bet on Watson either, just because he's a terrible person. But I have it's in my contract. I have to bet against Wentz any possible chance I get. So that's what I'm doing here. God, and it means I gotta bet on the Browns. Fuck all that. I hate it. But Cleveland to win, Cleveland to cover. Over 40.5 points. That's very low for these two teams. Gibson out as well. Man, I don't know if a lot of people made it to the finals with Gibson, but if you made it to the finals with Brian Robinson, he's about to eat. So enjoy that. Jacksonville, Houston. Houston, I mean, they probably just want that loss to get them number 1 overall pick if possible. And the Jags currently winning their division. So they need a win here. Can they clinch? No clinching options here for the Jags. Also no elimination options. It is going to come down to week 18 for them. This is essentially, I don't want to call it a meaningless game, but it kind of is. Similar how the Titans game was not that meaningful on Thursday. Jags are 3-point away favorites, -170 on the money line. Over under of 43 points. I'll take Jacksonville to win and cover here. I don't think they're going to have to try too hard to get a win against the Texans. Over under of 43. That is a little more difficult. I don't see the Texans scoring that many points. Let's see what they've put up recently. They've put up 19, 24, 23, 14, 15, 10, 16, 17, 10. So a lot in, they've only hit over 20 twice, and it was in these past 2 weeks against pretty good defenses. So that's interesting. I'm sorry, past 3 weeks. They only put up 19 to get a win against Tennessee, which is fun. I'll take the under. I don't think they score enough. So under 43 points here. I can see either way, but to lock in my pick, I'm taking the under. San Francisco, Las Vegas. We are looking here, the Niners. I don't see this as a very important game for them either. They can be eliminated from some spots. They're technically still fighting for the first round bye week against the Eagles. So if they lose, they get eliminated from that possibility. Or if the Eagles win, so probably tough for them. They're probably not getting that first round bye, but they can still play for it. What time are these games? They might be watching the clock. It's a 4:05 game, and the Eagles play at 1. That is interesting. Okay, so they might see if the Eagles win, they might not try as hard. They want to stay healthy. Maybe Christian McCaffrey doesn't play as much, get as much work. That is a possibility. If the Eagles lose, they might try a lot harder because they have an option. It greatly increases their chances to get that first round bye. So let's actually take a look at that here. Well, it does increase their chances. I can't say greatly. So, okay, maybe they're not trying too hard here. They're basically fighting for the second and third spots here in the NFC playoffs. So not that important a game to them. Either way, they could send out their third string, and I think they're going to beat Vegas and Jason Stidham. So give me the Niners to win. 9.5 points is a lot. Man, the Raiders just can't score. Boy, they've always kept it close in their games. Have they never lost by 9.5 or more? The last time they lost by more than 9.5 points was against the Saints in Week 8. They lost 24-0. Other than that, they have never lost by more than 9.5. So they'll keep it close somehow. Again, if San Francisco's not trying their hardest, they maybe send out the B team or the C team, whatever they're on at this point. I'll take Vegas to cover. And another thing I have in my contract, much like betting against Wentz, I have to bet against Carr. Carr's not playing. He got benched. Hopefully he's done forever. Maybe he'll be a backup somewhere, take the route of Baker, look good for a game or two. You'll be like, oh, he's back. And then, he turns back to Carr because that's who he is. He isn't good. I'm sick of people making excuses for him. He's not good. Stop it. San Francisco to win, Vegas to cover. Over under 42.5 points. Niners defense is very good. Stidham. I'll take the under. I will take the under 42.5 points here. And the Raiders still make playoffs? All right. They technically can. Yeah, I said that at the beginning of the episode. Less than a 1% chance. So technically, but probably not. Jets, Seattle. This is a great matchup. Jets traveling to Seattle. Both of these teams at 7-8. Seattle is actually a 1.5 home underdogs, plus 104 the money line, minus 124 for the Jets. Over under of 42.5 points. Mike White coming back. No more Zach Wilson because he's also poopy. Geno maybe getting Tyler Lockett back. Yeah, I don't think so. See if there's anything on that. He's currently questionable, but I believe he didn't practice. So keep an eye on that. If Lockett's back, Geno will be a lot better. Jets, they need this win to make it in. 50% chance of making the wild card spot for the Jets. What can happen? They can't clinch this week, but they can get eliminated. They can get eliminated with a loss. So important game here for the Jets. How about for Seattle? For the Seahawks, 28% chance of getting into the playoffs. They cannot clinch this week, but they can get knocked out. They lose spot 6 with a loss, or Giants beat the Colts. So probably not getting that. Spot 7, last spot for the wild card. They lose it with a loss, and Commanders win, or a loss, Lions win, Packers win. So a lot more difficult for Seattle to make the playoffs than it is for the Jets. Mike White coming back. They hopefully got him fully healthy. That was a much longer injury than I think a lot of people expected. But I'm thinking the Jets to win and cover, and I'll go over 42.5 points. Mike White, he's out here to score points and maybe win some fantasy championships. We'll see what happens. Divisional matchup, 12-3 Vikings, 7-8 Packers. Packers favored at home by 3 points, minus 173 on the money line, plus 144 for the Vikings, over under of 47.5 points. Seems like every game against the Vikings becomes a shootout. Let's just read their last 5 weeks here. 24-27, 39-36, 34-23, 27-22, 33-26. So lots of points to be scored here. The question is, can the Packers score? They are pretty banged up here as well. They might not have their all of their weapons. So Christian Watson will be the question here. If he comes in, I expect yet again another shootout for the Vikings. They make every game look close, and they shouldn't. So I'll take the over. I think that'll be a fun one to watch. Probably throw in quite a few players in here for my DFS lineups, but I'm going to take the dog here. I'm going to take the Vikings to win and cover. I've been saying it kind of all year. I think they're looked down on, even though, maybe it makes sense. They've only covered the spread 6 times this year. So they're a harder team to gauge, but I think they are currently more talented than the Packers. And they can clinch the number 2 spot in the NFC with a win and a Niners loss. Okay, so they're not clinching that. So either way, I'm taking Vikings winning cover. I think there's pretty good value here on them at the plus 144 odds, so I will take them there. 2 LA teams matching up. Rams at 5-10 with Baker against the Chargers 9-6. I brought up Baker because, again, I'm talking a lot. I'm revealing a lot of information about my contract. Probably shouldn't do that, but I trust you guys. Do with that information what you will, but it's in my contract. I can't bet on Baker. So, if you want to bet on Baker, do your thing. I am not allowed to. So I won't. I'm going to take the Chargers to win and cover. And I am going to take, 41.5 for the over under. I'll take the over. Pittsburgh, Baltimore got a couple friends going to this matchup. This game got flexed into Sunday Night Football, as it is somehow turning into an important matchup. The Steelers, like I said at the beginning here, they have a 1% chance of making it to playoffs. We can get eliminated this week. 2 ways. We can lose, and Dolphins win. So, as a Steelers fan, I know people like my mom do not want to cheer for the Patriots, but if we want playoffs, we got to cheer for the Patriots. I don't know if I personally want playoffs. It doesn't sound like a fun time for our team at this point in time. But Steelers 2.5 point away dogs. They lost this last time around at Heinz Field. I was there. I watched Mitch throw three Trubisky's. That should be what they're called. Throw 3 interceptions in my end zone I was sitting in. So that was great. Really enjoyed that. But, I'm going to take my boys here. Steelers to cover at 2.5 points. Plus 116 on the money line. Minus 139 for the Ravens. Insane over-under of 35 points. And I'm so tempted to take that under because can't score. We can't score. But primetime football, maybe some players show up. Lamar's going to be out. It's going to be Huntley against Pickett. I firmly believe if Pickett stayed in the game the last time, we would have won. So I'm making up for that lost time. I'll take the over 35. That sounds like the smart bet, but it is a little painful to take because I know the under is very, very possible. And then the matchup everyone is looking forward to, everyone's going to be paying much attention to because it's likely you have a lot of these players in your lineups for your fantasy championships. Buffalo Bills 12-3 taking on the Bengals 11-4 in Cincinnati. Bengals are dogs at home by 1.5, but the money line is essentially saying flip a coin. Minus 118 for the Bills, minus 103 for the Bengals, over under 49.5. 14.5 points. This is a fantastic matchup. Maybe a matchup we get in the playoffs. I'm taking the home team here. I feel like Cincinnati has their number. I don't know why. Obviously, they had it last year, but I think they can do it again here. I haven't been super impressed with the Bills as of late. I don't know if they're getting tired as the season goes on, if they're getting comfortable with being in such a lead, and maybe they're not as motivated at the moment to win these games because they don't matter too much. Let's take a look. I don't think they've locked up the bye. They have not. So let's see if they can. They can clinch the bye this week with a win and a Broncos win. So that's probably not happening. They can at least get the second spot if they beat the Bengals. So we'll see what happens there. I'm taking Cincy to win and cover. 49.5. This should be an over. These offenses are so high powered that this should be an over. That might be the lowest over under the Bills have had. No, it's not. This is one of the higher ones. Because it's been defensive matchup. So, man, that's rough. 49.5. I'm going to take the under. I think it's going to be more of a chess match than a back and forth shootout. I know everyone's kind of hoping for that shootout with fantasy championships on the line here, but I'm not so positive we're going to get it. But that's going to do it for the matchups of this week, week 17, 1 week left after that in the regular season. Good luck in your fantasy championships. I got screwed and kicked out of both mine, so not feeling good there. Getting some decent DFS wins. That's where I am focused. Like I said, we have created a DFS optimizer. So I'll tweet out the, quote unquote optimal lineup. I'm not going to try bullshitting anyone and be like, this is the best lineup ever. This is how it's going to work. It doesn't work that way. We know that. So much of this is just on probability, and that's what we're going for here. We created a model to make these lineups, and we put in some caveats. Like I talked about before, when making a DFS lineup, there's certain trends you want to follow. Stacking, bring back stacks. Sometimes you want the running back in the defense. You never want to play a player against the defense you pick. So all those are built into our model as conditions. And it takes all that into account, and it builds up, again, quote unquote, we're calling it an optimal lineup. We're not guaranteeing anything. It doesn't work that way. You should know that. But if you want at least a starting point or at least one lineup to throw in to some of these matches, it's been doing okay. I obviously hasn't been crazy. I haven't won $1 million yet. It's coming. But if you want to follow along, I'll be sure to tweet out that lineup later tonight. So we will see you next time. Thank you for tuning in.